Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to a wild adventure.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited to be here and overcome my own technical whatever I have. And you know, what's interesting is this is really about connecting with the untamed part of ourselves, connecting with our souls. As you know, I'm creating this permaculture healing center thing here, and it's really like the soil. You know, if you work with the soil regenerates. If you just put toxic shit all over it, it's gonna not do so well. So this is very much like part of the earth, and that's why, you know, when I used to bring groups down to Ecuador, the shamans would be like, where did you find all these loser people? They're so, no, these are the people who are open, you know, because it's just different. And you know, how to have all of us keep connecting with ourselves more deeply. And as I sent the quote, and where everything is a miracle, no matter what, everything's a miracle, and how to live that way. And how to get out of the driver's seat so our life can live us and not have all this weird controlling energy that, you know, we've been taught we need to have. And not that we can't be prepared or whatever, but it's really about letting life live us. And it's about opening the gates between two worlds. And I think I've told most of you this story when I went to Ecuador and we go in this rainforest, and there was actually the placard that's up there, peace in this house, was from there. And, you know, we would go in this jungle, and then there was this guy all dressed up with feathers and stuff. And he's like, oh, and we're like, oh, is that the shaman? They're like, oh no, he's a crazy person. So it's about being in both worlds. It's not, and I have clients who come to me who are like that. They're all, you know, and I'm like, I think you better get into the box. You have to be into the box before you can get out of the box. So it's about having roots and wings and being balanced, and it's balanced through the heart chakra. And in this, you know, our culture, it's more about the brain, and everyone here is more about the heart. So it's about connecting with our hearts. And what we're going to be studying is something called core shamanism. So it's more like the universal level of shamanism. I'll be sending a follow-up email with all the information, so you don't have to worry about it. But, you know, if you want to read stuff, and, you know, it's individual. I'm kind of a readaholic myself, but it's like everything you read about shamanism is a lie. So just have that thought too, because it's an oral tradition. It's not a written tradition. So, but, you know, reading and writing has a place. It's sort of like the ego. It should be our servant, not our master. And so core shamanism is about the universal aspect. And the interesting thing about shamans is shamans around the world are all doing the exact same thing. There's this universal aspect to it. And it's basically retrieving energy or releasing energy. So you're bringing in good energy and you're releasing negative energy. It's very, very simple. But then it gets, you know, you get all the specific rituals, and it can get very complicated too. But it's basically very, very simple. And it's something that everybody can do. And it's something we can do for ourselves, and we can access these other realms. And, you know, everyone here is already doing that. And how it's different from meditation. I have found, me including, I've been meditating since 1970, pretty crazy, but, and meditating definitely is helpful with doing this work, because you quiet your mind and you can access the information. But it's very different than meditating, because meditating is getting to that place between thoughts, and this is, you actually receive information. And part of what happens in a session is you start out, you talk, you're a normal, humble human being, and they tell you whatever, and then you journey for information and you get this divine information. And some clients want to learn how to do it, want to learn how to journey, and so they can journey too. Or some clients don't. For some reason, all my lawyer clients don't want to know anything. They're like, just heal me, don't tell me anything. So, but it doesn't really matter. You just have to be receptive. And I was saying to someone here, last week I had a client had a really bad eye thing going on, and we did the work, and by the end of the session, the eye thing was gone. And so, it can be very miraculous. And it's about the energy behind things. But there's no conflict with medical doctors, or it's more a political thing than because I work with a lot of medical doctors. Matter of fact, a medical doctor sent me this client. Doctors will send me clients that they can't to help. And so this is also a way to have roadmaps, and also to find our soul tribes, to find the angels walking amongst us, to find people that we can trust. We need to create subcultures in this crazy world. I mean, and things are extremely crazy now, but that we need to create. And so that's part of what this is about is, a lot of us have soul tribes already, but how to expand that feeling of people that are authentically trying to create harmony in their lives and other people's lives. And, there are predators in the world. There are bad things that happen. And so how do we protect ourselves? How do we learn how to become who we really are supposed to be, how to overcome our fate and grab our destiny, really live our full life and have as much love as possible, as much joy as possible. And so we're going to start by anyone who has an object they would like to share. That would be great. It's a way just to kind of get to know each other. It's like an icebreaker thing. Thank you, Diana. So does anyone have an object they would like to share?
Sicily, Italy.
What is it, Stephanie?
I said it's my sexy candle from Sicily, Italy.
Sexy candle.
It smells like a sexy Italian.
Ooh.
This is kind of a joke. It was a beautiful gift from my dear friend Marina. So I just wanted to share it, and it blesses my home. And it's the most beautiful candle I've ever received, and it actually made me want to make candles.
Nice.
But I just have it lit beside me, just in honor of this gathering. And then I also, of course, I bring my rosary, something I've been gravitating to. I keep it in a little red bag like Marina taught me. It's a rosary that's been passed down from my family. And I've been just really turning to it because it's been helping me to stay focused in a time where my thoughts just don't go elsewhere. I just stay with the prayer. And it's been really beneficial. And it's opened up ways for me to find my earth angels among me. After I feel like I do this ritual and then move about the day, it's like I just get closer with God, and the day just is beaming with God's grace every which way I look. So it's been really beautiful for me, this piece. So that's what I brought to share.
Yeah. Does anyone else have an object they'd like to share? You don't have to do it, but if you like.
I have an object.
Cool.
I brought my amethyst crystal. Hope you can see it with the light. Like switch it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Catherine is a crystal queen.
Nice.
Yoga, the best yoga teacher ever. So.
Thank
Do you
Marina.
find them, Catherine, or do you buy them, or a little of both?
I buy them, and it's become a pandemic project. One of the things to keep my mind calm was to go deeper into my understanding of crystals. I had a few that I bought that I liked that were pretty, but then I started reading about them. I've ordered some books on Amazon. I've ordered sort of crystal Bibles, and I've incorporated them into my yoga teaching. And I find that they are just very, very powerful. The amethyst, as you may know, is about protection, and it's about the connection to the divine. So I meditate with an amethyst every single day, and I just allow the divine energy to flow, and I allow myself to feel protected and supported in a very changing, difficult world.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It matches your outfit too.
It matches my outfit. I'll give you my address.
Okay. Yay, good.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really special for me.
I've always felt drawn to those, and now I know why. It's about protection.
Yes, for the amethyst, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Protection, and it's the crown chakra, so it's the gateway to divine energy. Mm-hmm. Great. So I'm hoping this crystal blesses our session today and our amazing training for Marina. Good.
I have one too. I got to finish this note. Okay. So, yes. So, when I was travel nursing, I was in Canada, in Montreal at this museum, looking at all this First Nations art, and it was really cool. Just spoke to me like, I don't know, I don't really have anything to compare it to, how it spoke to me. And one of them that I saw, I don't know if you can see this guy, he's a dancing bear. He's carved out of soapstone by an Inuit artist, a Canadian artist. And he represents, it's hard to tell, but he's standing on one leg, dancing like this, with the other leg in the air, and he's dancing. He just has this blissed out look on his little face. And it symbolizes the moment when a shaman sort of, that moment of merging between the shaman and their spirit animal or power animal. The shaman starts dancing, at least in the Inuit culture, the shaman starts dancing and kind of goes into this state of ecstasy. It almost sounds like journey, but through movement and music. And as that moment when he's steps into the other plane or world and bear joins him, his totem or power animal joins him, that's what this symbolizes. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, that is for me. And then not too long ago, Marina and I were journeying, and I realized bear is my power animal. So bear was with me long before I ever knew it. That's fine.
Can I add something or respond?
Yes.
Okay, good. Wasn't sure how the rules worked, Marina.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. Oh, my kind of place. I wanted to share that the poet Rumi was sort of like a dancing bear. He was a whirling dervish. Are you familiar with Rumi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So he would whirl, and the more he would move to the music, he'd go into a trance, and then he'd just spit out these amazing things. And people started writing down what he would say. This is 800 years ago. He's a 13th
I didn't
century.
know all this about him. Cool.
Yeah, 13th century Sufi poet,
Mm-hmm.
existing in what is now Afghanistan. But as you talked about the whirling bear, I thought of Rumi, and there is, whirling dervishes are spiritual beings, and in their whirling, they take themselves into a trance, and then they receive these messages. So it's interesting how many cultures have similar experiences.
Yeah, that universality of and dance, art, and we'll be working with today with power songs, and next session we'll actually be working with dance as part of ecstatic.
Ooh.
And it's about ecstasy, and it's also about making our suffering authentic and useful rather than just having all pattern responses to things. And also there are techniques like soul retrieval that if someone does have a trauma, that you can bring back that energy. That's a big difference between shamanism or energy medicine and psychology. In psychology, there's, you're fucked, you're disassociated, let me give you a pill. And in shamanism, there's this understanding that you can actually go back and get back that soul piece. But it's also one of the more dangerous things you can do. I worked with a client who, God knows how this happened, but the shaman actually brought back a soul piece from the father who abused her. It was a mess. I had to go to a mental hospital. It was a nightmare. So you have to be careful. The soul retrievals are one thing you have to be really careful with. So, and we'll be dealing with that too, because if you're all, once you understand it, you'll never make a mistake with it. The person who did it was like, I don't know where the brain went. And Rumi, thank you, Catherine. That's one of the things. Rumi is such a shaman, and one of the quotes I love is, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." And so that's what this is. That's what this is. This is that field. And we can journey and help each other with this field to deepen that. And what's interesting is that we're all unique. So we have, and that's why there are no rules. You know, what is healing for one person is very different than another person. And so that's also the challenge and the art of it. And part of how we work is through our power animals, but there are shamans like in Peru, the Shipibo, they work through power plants. But that's unusual. Most shamans work with power animals. So if you're having trouble connecting with your power animal, maybe it's a power plant that you could work with. And
Didn't they say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but didn't they say that some animals are like connected with some plants too? So
Right.
there's a crossover connection there.
yeah. So it's, and when I lived in Connecticut and I would do trainings, I had this big organic farm field and everything. And part of the training is I'd have people go and have a plant call them, because that's how the shamans work. The plant speaks to you, the plant calls you. You know, it's that same idea of to give up the life we've planned, to live the life that we were called to be in. And every single time I did a training, people would go to the plant that they needed. Like one woman had heart problems and she went to a plant that's used for, has what digitalis is made out of. And someone else had allergies and she went to stinging nettles, which is, so it's, if we can get out of our way, which, everyone here is already living this way. So this isn't new information, but how to reinforce it will come to you rather than always having our to-do list. But then, we need that to be our roots. We need to be on time. We need to, we need both worlds. And then through the energy medicine, it's the heart is our brain is our heart rather than our brain. Our brain is our servant and our heart is our leader, just like our ego is our servant. So it's just a different way of living. And that it's important to have support to live that way, because it's definitely not mainstream America, especially right now with everything. It's also a methodology, not a religion. That's really, it's the shamanism is pre-religion. And so I work with a lot of really religious people. And so they are worried about that, but it's not, you can be religious, because this is a methodology, not a religion. It's not, there's not a sacred textbook that you have to follow. And so we'll be working on the methodology, how to journey. and there are road maps that can be helpful. So, does anybody else have an object they would like to share?
Can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, she is muted.
Okay, I'm off now. But this is my mesa, and then I keep it on my power shield, and it's something that we made these with Marina in training at one point. And on this side has the chart of a mandala, and then we had actually journeyed and created this power shield. And my power animal is turtle, and you can see this turtle shell pattern here, and some other things that connect with my soul. So I keep that underneath my mesa.
Nice.
And you want to just say a little bit about your mesa? Because that's another thing we'll be working with.
Yes, and my mesa, which this is so wonderful because I've just been through like a long period of moving. I just moved to Holyoke, Massachusetts, and really downsizing, and I haven't worked with this for a while, so it just feels so powerful. Good time to bring this back in to my life. And but the mesa is has healing stones, and they were, you know, it's been created over many years, and sometimes stones get gifted, and sometimes other stones get gifted to me, or I pick them up places. But they represent the mandala and the 4 directions, and each stone has a very specific connection to different healing that I have worked with personally. It's sort of like the universe, my universe here in these kind of beautiful healing stones inside here. But yeah.
Yeah, mesa is a word, it means table in Spanish. And it's because
Yeah.
all of the shamans, their altars are tables, and then they have their healing stones on them. And, you know, everybody has an altar, and we'll be, you know, today we're going to be focusing more on journeying and how to journey. I think I mentioned that there'll also be a recording if that is helpful to people. I'm also available if you want me to walk you through it. That can be super helpful because it's getting your brain and trained to do it. And then it's like riding a bicycle. Once you start doing it, you're like, oh, this is so easy. And I find for most people, it's so easy. That's the problem. It's like, oh, I had this one client who said, I don't know, I journeyed. I kept seeing all these statues of all these birds. And I'm like, well, what were the birds? Well, they were all eagles. I mean, one was ice one. I'm like, well, maybe eagle is your power animal. And he was like, oh, okay. You know, so I've had people who, when they journey, it's like a Disney cartoon. I mean, when we go into this altered state, it's very unique, and it can be kind of strange. And a lot of times I know when I journey for clients, sometimes the information I'm given, I'm like, I've gone completely loco in my cocoa, but I've learned just to say it. And it's amazing because it you know, again, how it's different from meditation. You know, meditation is all about be here now, be present, which is important. But shamanism is about literally journeying through time. You journey to the past, you journey to the future. And so it's different than meditation in that way. You want to do that. And part of soul retrieval is you journey to the past to the trauma, and then you go beyond that. And if people have had really just horribly traumatic lives, you go back to before they were conceived. You go back until you find where the energy was and where the message was for them to live their life. And when I worked in prisons, I had to do a lot of that, you know, because a lot of people I worked with, you know, had just, you know, had been conceived in rape, and, you know, there just wasn't anything in this lifetime for them that was, so, would anybody else like to share an object? You don't have to, but. Okay. So we're going to be moving into learning how to journey, unless anyone else has something they want to share before we do that. Journeying is the methodology to access the shamanic world. And what's great about it is that it makes one very self-reliant and self-referencing, because it enables one to get information for oneself. And so it's a way to develop our inner landscapes and to be guided. There's this universal technique of journeying, which I will teach you. And Aaron, if you could put up the slide for it.
Ooh.
So this is, and I'll be sending this to you too, so you can have this. This is like the basics of journeying, and this is journeying to the lower world. There's also a way to journey to the upper world that we'll be talking about, but most shamans start by going to the lower world. I'm going to be using a rattle for journeying. It's sonically driven through usually a drum or a rattle. There are some Irish shamans that clack stones together. So any kind of rhythmic sound entrains your mind to be able to access this world. It's important to always light a candle. So thank you, Stephanie, for lighting the candle. I have a candle here too, and I have a fire going, because as with people, there are people you want to hang out with, and then there's people that, you know, because of their damage or whatever reasons, you might not want to hang out with them. And so it's the same true with the spiritual world. And as I said, with that soul retrieval that went so terribly wrong, the healer brought in the wrong force, and it can be very devastating. So it's important to light a candle as part of creating the right atmosphere. If you're in a place where you cannot light a candle, like sometimes if I'm working in prisons or mental hospitals, I can't necessarily light a candle. You can light it in your mind, because this is all about empowering our imagination. And people will say to me, oh, isn't it all your imagination? I'm like, yeah, it is. You know, so it's about empowering that. So lighting a candle is the first thing to do, either in your mind or in reality.
Did I do that?
And then the first part of the journey is the entrance. And the entrance is a place that actually exists in reality. And it's a place that somehow you feel that quickening of your spirit when you think of this place. It can be a place you were as a child. I had a client who I worked with, and he used to play he used to go up to Maine in the summer, and there were caves, and he always knew there was something special about those caves. So for his shamanic entrance was a cave, one of those caves. So it's some kind of an opening that exists in reality. Your entrance can also change. For me, moving to Massachusetts, my entrance used to be in Vermont, and now it's shifted to near where the waterfalls are. So that can be confusing. But if you move or you have a big life event, sometimes your entrance can change. And your entrance,
Marina?
yeah.
Marina? So is the entrance is an idea in your mind, or is it a physical thing or place?
Physical place that you have physically been in at some point in your life.
That you then conjure in your mind.
Yeah, and you conjure in your mind.
Got it.
And it's really nice if you can actually go to that physical place. That's really fabulous. And that's the way most shamans, there's like a sacred mountain or sacred, they all go there. But it's not always possible for us to have that. So the entrance, what's important is that it exists in reality at some point. And I've been asked, well, what if it, like I had a client whose entrance got bulldozed, so it no longer exists. Well, it did exist in this person's childhood, so it still has that. And so we'll be entering an entrance, and it's usually something that goes down, like a cave or
An animal's burrow is mine.
an animal's burrow, yeah, a tree. The Mapuche shamans in Chile, they're all into trees, and they have these soul trees, and you journey into the roots of the trees, and they all go to these trees together, and they sing, and it's just beautiful. And so the entrance is very personal. And again, if we grew up as indigenous healers, we would probably all have the same entrance. We would probably have the same power animals. When I worked with the Papayactas, their power animal was the anaconda. And everyone had that. And then when I worked in Mexico with the Huichol, they do the deer. Everyone has the deer, and they do the dance of the deer, and they have 90-year-old shamans dancing like deers. I mean, it's because deers really do dance. I mean, it's just remarkable. And so it's amazing to have that experience of that. And so you have the entrance, and then you, in your mind, enter the entrance, and then the tunnel goes down from the entrance. And the tunnel itself can be an experience of, it can be very quick. If I've had people who are claustrophobic, who that becomes a big deal to help them get down. There's people whose tunnels are filled with angels and crystals, and they love it. There's other people whose tunnels are filled with worms and demons, and they hate it. But so it's very individual, the tunnel. The most important thing is to get through it and get to your shamanic world. So that's the bridge. So the entrance is reality. The tunnel is the bridge. And then when you get to the end of the tunnel, then you enter your shamanic world. And in the shamanic world, when you come out, the most important first step is to find your power animal. And I know a lot of you guys already have your power animal. And if you don't have your power animal, this is an opportunity to start finding it and having your power animal find you. And part of the ways you know it's your power animal is it will show itself to you 4 times. Because sometimes people see lots of animals and they're not sure which one is their power animal. Or I told you about the client I had, and his was the bald eagle. He would go in this field and there'd be all these bald eagles that were statues. So it shows itself at least 4 times. It can show itself to you more than 4 times.
Question?
Yes.
Are we talking about our power animal or the client's power animal?
You're talking about your power animal.
Okay.
Yeah, your power animal. And then when you're working with a client, your power animal brings you to the client's power animal. And then that's how you work from your power animal to their power animal. And then I had a client who had trouble finding her power animal, and it turned out that her power animal was also a bird, and it showed itself to her 4 times, but it showed itself an eye, a beak, a tail, a claw. So it didn't show itself in its fullness. It showed aspects of itself. So that's where learning how to journey and getting connected with your power animal can take some time, but then once you have that experience, it's like finding your best friend, because it's this force and it connects us with the earth and it connects us with the sky and gives us information, gives us access to information. And there is also a way to journey to the upper world, which we will be talking about, but for the most part, people start journeying to the lower world. Yes.
Question. Is it ever possible, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. To see or find the power animal in reality?
Yes.
Like if it comes to you in your daily days?
Should I tell my bear story? Marina, should I tell my bear story?
Tell your bear story.
So we'd been searching to figure out what my power animal was. Years ago, I did a sort of a journey, and it was raccoon for a long time. And I kind of knew raccoon was still there, but that wasn't really it. And we kept journeying. And one day I was out on my back deck with my dog, and he was going ape shit, barking his head off. And I looked down in my neighbor's yard downhill, and there was a bear, a black bear. And I said, "It's a bear! It's a bear!" And that bear went like, and looked at me in the eyes. And we just had this connection. I was like, "A bear!" And it ran away. And that was my real life example. And then it wasn't too long after that, we journeyed again. And I realized bear was my power animal.
And most shamans have one main power animal, but some people have more than one. Some people have different power animals in different chakras. So that's very individual. So I had an experience when I was doing, it was actually my second vision quest. I was in Montana, and I was, deep in it, and this herd of wild horses literally came galloping through where, you set up a medicine wheel, and I literally had to jump up and hide behind a tree. And then later that day, actually the following day, I was finished with my vision quest, and I was sitting, and this white horse came up, and I had this profound experience. So it definitely, and that's the interesting thing about the shamanic world, which is why people need to be very grounded in themselves in reality, it does things start happening in reality that you've envisioned. And I'm sure that's happened for all of us anyway. And in journeying for other people, a lot of times I'll be given information, like I worked with this client many years ago and he didn't have a college degree and he was so depressed because he didn't have a college degree and he didn't like to travel, and he was applying for all these jobs. He worked with electrical stuff. And so I got on my journey that the fact he did not have a college degree and he did not like to travel would actually be the two reasons why he got hired. And I said that from that very confident shamanic place. And then a week later, he said he got a job, and the guy who was the boss also did not have a college degree and needed someone who didn't want to travel because there were a bunch of young people that want to travel. So it's very inspiring to get that kind of information for a client and help them have the confidence to be who they are, even though society might have a different opinion or their own socialization. And a lot of shamanism is about unlearning what we've been taught, the limitations. It's about connecting with our infinite part of ourselves. And so you enter your shamanic world, and then your power animal will show itself to you 4 times. Once you have your power animal, it will show itself to you 4 times, but you don't have to. That's more when you're trying to find who is your power animal. And then what's very important is to ask an open-ended question of your power animal. For people here who don't have power animal, the question will be is, where's my power animal? Who's my power animal? That will be an open-ended question. It's important to ask open-ended questions rather than yes-no questions, because if you ask a yes-no question, that limits the information you can get. And so an open-ended question is what, who, where, when, why. So that is also part of it. I have found it, and I always do this when I'm working with myself or I'm working for other people, I find it very important to write my question down. And then when I journey, sometimes I'll even write a few things down because I'm worried I'll forget it. And then what's important is to, especially as you're beginning this process, just to write it down and not judge it. Because a lot of times information is given through symbols or phrases or a way that we're not always used to getting information. And so if you just write it out, and then it's very interesting to look back and see, oh my God, the answer was there. I just didn't see that. And so that's also an important part of the process, is to start learning how your power animal communicates with you, because, you know, we're crossing realms. And so sometimes it takes a bit to understand the information and how to have that information help us step into our ecstatic divine life that is awaiting for us. And there's a bit of a learning curve sometimes. And then sometimes our power animals will change. Karen had that experience. Karen, do you want to say what happened to you with your power animal?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I had a wonderful power animal, a beautiful white elephant. One day when I went to Journey, I had the her face like in between my hands or something. I can't remember. And it was a former, well, I don't know how many of you know Erica that passed away, but it was her face that was the elephant's face. And then I could never find that elephant again. So I guess they can be taken by people on the other side. So I had to find a new one, and it took a long time. And I've struggled with journeying ever since, because I find it very difficult to just get there the way I did. And I mean, it was going along very smoothly, and this kind of really disrupted everything. But I think I'm back on track.
Yeah, that happened to me when my brother died. I would journey to my power animal, and for like three months after he died, when I would journey to the power animal, he'd be sitting on my power animal, and it was this ecstatic thing, and I was doing all these healings, and it was so fabulous. And then one day I journeyed, and it was gone, and he was gone, and I was told to stop doing healing work, and I was like, okay. So then I started at my medicinal herbal business. That's why I started my medicinal herbal business, as a way to make a living, because I was told not to do the work. And then it turned out that my brother needed my power animal, and then another power animal came to me. So that it's good to know. I wish I'd known at the time what was happening. It's pretty devastating, to lose it. But then something that, the universe doesn't take anything away unless something better is coming along. So, and, there's a lot of mystery in this work of, why things work. And it's really through the soul that trauma and transcendence can find a home. And it's about finding a home within ourselves. And that's why after you do a soul retrieval, you always say, welcome home. You want to welcome home that spirit or that soul piece that had to leave. And, trauma is suffering and trauma is part of life. And there's a great book called Trauma and the Soul. I'll send you all the information. Donald Kolshad, who's the guy who wrote it, he talks about how trauma is about the fact that we all are given more to experience in this life than we can bear to experience consciously. And he talks about soul parts as being in the unconscious, rather, because he's a Jungian analyst. Rather than soul loss, it's a language thing. And so part of becoming fully healthy, fully alive, fully awake is getting these pieces back. And that's what's hard about when people are told, oh, just be present, be here now. But sometimes people have damage, and they are literally unable to do that work until they get the healing and they get that soul part back. And, the whole mainstream psychiatric world has a lot of benefits, but it can also harm people with the diagnoses and sort of the finiteness of it. And I work with a lot of people who've been diagnosed in a lot of ways. And the first thing we work on is, okay, maybe you're bipolar, maybe you're borderline, maybe you have all those symptoms, but that's really a verb. It's not a noun. You're not stuck in that room forever. There's a way to get beyond it. So there isn't a conflict with medicine. It's more a different realm of working. And you know, and as Joseph Campbell said, we must be willing to get rid of the life we have planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. So that's what this is about. It's about all of us keeping engaging with this life that's waiting for us, that's so beautiful and full, and is in that field beyond wrongdoing and right doing, and meeting yourself there, meeting other people there. And so are there any questions? Because then we will
I
do
have.
the actual journey. Yes.
When you say that the power animal will reveal itself 4 times, is
Yeah.
that in 4 separate journeys, or it could be 4 times in one journey, or it could be a combination of it appears in life and in a journey, or?
Usually it's 4 times in one journey,
Okay.
but it could be 4 different journeys.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Any other questions before
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
How long does a journey usually last, or is there a usual?
That's a very excellent question. It's a journey is usually it depends. It's sort of like meditating. In the beginning, it's probably better to have shorter journeys just till you get used to doing it. And then once you're used to it, I mean, my longest session I ever had was 7 hours and 45 minutes. And it was really profound. It was just layers and layers and layers. And so you know, when I journey for myself, it's usually kind of like, you know, I meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. So it's usually around 20 minutes. That seems, but if I have a lot going on, it might be longer. If I just want a quick check-in, and it can be shorter. Usually when I'm journeying for a client, it's usually half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour. But it does vary.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Some people journey better with rattles. Some people journey better with drums. The Foundation for Shamanic Studies has this amazing, I don't usually like pre-recorded drumming, but it has, and I'll send all this info to you on a follow-up email, has this amazing, it's 4 drummers. And I know one of the drummers, and the drums speak to each other. And so when I worked at the Omega Institute, I would play that when I was journeying, and that helped me journey and not have to, you know, have that just be there for you. A lot of times people will have a drummer there doing the drumming. It's hard to drum and journey, you know, at the same time. It's possible. I'm going to be working with a rattle. I personally like rattles better. Drumming can be very intense for me and kind of almost like blow my circuits out sometimes. So again, rattles or drumming or the clacking of the stones. Some people like to journey to the sound of the ocean, the rhythmic sound of the ocean, or be next to an ocean is even nicer, or the sound of a waterfall. And so as we experiment, we see what is the best way for us to journey. And I'm going to be working with this little rattle just because otherwise it's hard to hear. I have this great mega rattle, but you can't really hear much when you're rattling with it. So, and then it can be very powerful to have your drum, your rattle. I made a rattle, which is something I would love to do in one of our vision quests where you make a rattle and you draw on it or paint on it all the symbols that you got through your vision quest. And so when I work with this rattle, I'm brought back to that. It just brings you there. So a lot of these tools are to help keep the veil between this reality and other reality open for us. Another tool that the Hawaiians use are the shells, and the ancient Greeks used to use those. So that's another way to journey too.
Marina, are we going to journey this morning?
Yes,
Can we have a potty break before we do that?
it's a good idea. Any other questions before the potty break? Okay,
No, I had the same question.
why don't we take a potty break and then let me know when you guys are back, and then we'll do the actual journey. And if you have a question before we can.
I do have a question. Do you want us to get a rattle or something to make noise
No,
with?
I'm going to be rattling for you.
You're doing it. Okay.
You don't have to.
You'll rattle for all of us.
I'll rattle for all of you, baby.
Very
My
good.
baby rattle. It's a little baby.
Okie dokie.
A rattle for children.
Got it. See you in a bit.
Okay, cool.
Marina, I love that picture that's on the slide. It seems like, have you shown me that before?
No.
Really? It seems so familiar somehow.
Maybe you saw it somewhere else. Yeah, Aaron actually found that.
Really? Nice work, Aaron. That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just checking with everybody. So Beth, you're back.
Yep.
Erica? No. Karen? No. Catherine, are you back?
I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see me, but I went to somewhere where I can lay down for the journey.
Okay. Yeah, because you can lay down or sit up for this journey. It's, usually with meditation, we sit up. Usually with journeying, we lie down. And
Oh,
it's,
there we go.
yeah, and it's important to close your eyes. Cover your eyes.
So now is this, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah. No, you go.
is this your journey that we're going on with you, or you're guiding us how to go on our own journey?
I'm guiding you how to go on your own journey.
Okay.
And then I'll have that available if you want to listen to it, or if you want to communicate with me and we can work together to help because it's sort of like riding a bicycle. Once you ride the bicycle, you can do it. But sometimes connecting takes a bit of effort to figure out how to connect with oneself. And usually with journeying, one lies down, but you can definitely do it sitting up too. And another aspect of journey is to close your eyes or cover your eyes. But then there are also people who journey into a candle, into a flame. So today we're doing it with our eyes closed, but I've worked with people that can only journey with their eyes open looking at a flame. So that's why sometimes it's important to have some more personal work with journeying if it's not working. Like there are things that work for different people. So we will start when everyone gets back from their pee break.
How long is the journey?
The journey's going to be about 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, a quickie.
a little one.
A little quickie, just to see if it's working and if you feel it, and that's probably, that's like a short journey, and then a long journey can go for a long time. But it's like meditating, you can just sit and meditate for 5 minutes, and because you've done so much meditating, Catherine, I think it'll be really easy for you to do, because your mind is already open to that kind of energy, and you live so divinely connected anyway that you're already. Do you have a sense of what your power animal might be?
No, I have no idea. Or at least no conscious idea.
Interesting. Because sometimes people have an idea, and sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's not. I had one client, her power animal was a sandworm. It's funny. It's funny what our power animals are. It's interesting.
So how do you learn the power animal? Is it through the journey that you discover your power animal?
Through the journey, I'll have you close your eyes. I'll do the rattling. I'll have you go into your entrance down the tunnel, come out into your shamanic world, see what presents itself to you.
So so in order to find your power animal, you need to go through a journey, or do some people just know it? Or
usually, again, it's sort of like meditating. Like some people just naturally meditate. That's just a natural thing that is easy for them to do. So they might not need as much formal training or whatever. And some people, it's much more difficult for them to meditate. It's like this big ordeal. So it's the same thing with journeying. You know,
Yeah.
some people are like, oh my God, I've been doing that my whole life, you know? So there's
Mhm.
definitely spontaneous journeying, which is probably a more exciting way to journey. To say, oh my God, you know, oh, that's what that is. That's what that name is. And then what's nice about it, it's very individual for you. So it's very unique for you. So no one's telling you, oh, this is your power animal, or this is, there are ways to do power animal retrievals for people. So that's another thing, that if someone is having a hard time finding their power animal. So definitely if the journeying isn't working, definitely communicate with me, because there's a lot we can do to help with making it work. So I'm assuming everyone's back. Beth, are you back? Yes? We lost Beth.
No, I'm here. I just had to unmute. My neighbor's mowing. I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Karen?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're back. Catherine, yes. And Stephanie, are you back?
It's right here.
Okay, cool. Okay,
Fine.
so we will start the journey. Does anyone have any questions before we start? Okay, so get comfortable, either lie down or you can sit up, but just get comfortable in your body and close your eyes. We've already lit a candle, so that is happening. And just take a moment and breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And as you continue breathing more and more deeply, more and more slowly, let your body just melt into your breathing and allow yourself to just relax into the earth. Whether you're lying down or you're sitting, let the earth hold you, let Mother Earth hold you, and just allow yourself to melt into Mother Earth as we prepare ourselves. So as you relax into your body, imagine your shamanic entrance, which is something that exists in reality, has existed for you. So just imagine in your mind approaching this entrance. And now enter into it. And after you enter, you will go down, down, down a tunnel. And just allow yourself to fall down this tunnel. And then allow yourself to land and come out into your shamanic world. And just keep connecting with your body, with your breath, with the rhythmic sound of the rattle. And allow yourself to enter this shamanic world. And if you are connected with your power animal, greet your power animal. And if you are searching for your power animal, ask an open-ended question. Who are you, my power animal? Where are you, my power animal? If you're already connected with your power animal, then ask a question that is important and relevant for you today. And as you enter more deeply into your shamanic world, and allow your power animal to come to you and show itself to you 4 times. Just be there with your power animal. Keep breathing deeply, connecting with who you are, connecting with your question, allowing yourself to experience whatever you're experiencing. Allow yourself to go more and more deeply into your unique shamanic world and receive the blessings from that world of answers to your deepest questions. Just allow yourself to receive. And now it's time to come back. And so thank your power animal if you have had the pleasure to connect with your power animal. And quickly retrace all your steps. Retrace all your steps through your shamanic world. Come up the tunnel and exit through your entrance. And then take a moment, if it's helpful to you, to write down any information, because journeying is similar to dreaming. Sometimes it fades if we don't write it down. So just take a moment and write it down. So anybody else want to share what their experience was like?
Yeah, I'll share. I didn't really prepare for a journey, so I didn't have a question, and it was quick and all that. So and then my computer said it was about to die, and I thought I plugged it in, but I didn't turn on the outlet, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what I got in my brief little stint was peace and love and joy, and just reveling in that, and it just refreshed my spirit. And Bear reminded me, well, you don't have to come here with some agenda and with any pressure on yourself or expectations. You can just come here for 5 minutes and refresh your spirit. It doesn't have to be a huge mind fuck that you're doing to yourself. So it really inspired me to do it more and go there as a safe haven, a safe harbor. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. And that's a good point, that we can just touch into it if we want.
Yeah.
Energy, and we can be at a meeting and close our eyes and be doing it if we're feeling like we need some other.
Yeah, anywhere, anytime. Like I used to tell my massage clients, stretch your neck while you're sitting in the light, at the stoplight. You can do it at your desk at work. It's the same concept.
Yes, very similar. That's good. How about you, Erica?
Well, I went in like a little bit like Stephanie was saying, like, well, I I went in and then I met up with my power animal, my turtle, but I was saying on Friday was my birthday, and I had, and when I woke up early in the morning to take my dog out, there was a skunk. And I was like, oh my gosh. And because I'm in Holyoke, it's more urban now. And I'm like, what is this skunk doing? And it was just, it gradually just like walked away. And then at dinner time, my son and I were driving, and there was this, I don't know if it was the same skunk, but there was this, and it was in a different area. There was a skunk again, went across the street and under the fence. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just was wondering if skunk was presenting itself. And then, so I asked my turtle if skunk is possibly, coming in as a power animal. And like, I wasn't quite sure, like, if I was like, because I had specifically, I was asking about skunk, if that's why, like, I was forcing it, but I did feel skunk's presence, and he was walking with us down the path, and so I'm not completely sure, but when I read about skunk last night, it felt really like a great energy for me to work with. And just like one of the things is just the idea that skunk is not afraid to make a stink about things if they feel there's an injustice, or
Yeah.
and that just so good for me, because I can tend to be just let things go and not really stick up for myself, and it just kind of feels like a really fun, exciting energy for me to possibly work with. So
Animals can come in and stay, or come in for a short period of time. It's funny, I had an experience with skunk when I worked at Omega. You know how skunks are nocturnal? Well, this skunk would literally fucking follow me around when I worked at Omega. And once I realized it was a message, I got over being freaked out by it. And then there were weird dynamics going on, and skunk energy definitely helped. So sometimes, like something like that, like you see it, and then it'll become a power animal, and sometimes it'll stay, and sometimes it will just be for a specific period of time.
right.
And then sometimes power animals can change, like it's changed for me moving from Vermont to here. It's no longer the Vermont catamount, it's the bobcat, because that's the animal. So. Hello, Catherine, welcome. We're just sharing as a group, seeing how it went for everybody. I think you're frozen, Catherine. Oh,
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Is there another Catherine, or is just me on there?
Karen and Catherine. You were
Oh, okay.
just one Catherine. There's
Because
other.
when you said welcome back, I hadn't gone anywhere, so I
Oh,
wasn't.
I saw your picture, so I thought you would. I thought you had just gotten back in.
Oh yeah, no, I've been here all along. So
Okay.
I don't know. I find I have to scroll to see all the pictures. Is that what you're doing, or do you have one screen with all of us on it?
And were you in the breakout room with Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we're just sharing as a group, whatever.
And Marina, you can tweak how it looks. It's different whether at the moment I'm on the app, but if you're on your computer, what are you on, your computer or
computer?
So when I was on mine, there would be this option for making it a grid, and then you can change the size of the grid so you can see everyone at once, or you can tweak it just so you know.
Cool.
You can play around with it.
I love tech input. Thank you, darling.
I feel like I don't know if I know my spirit animal just yet, particularly like one, but anytime like a spirit, like just an exotic or different animal that comes around, or seeing a hawk or a raven, or we've seen porcupines, or then we've had a pet raccoon. It's like I always go to read the message behind it, and it's always just seemingly so right there. It's always like, oh, for that moment. So I don't have one that's like feeling like that it's like sticking with me, like one always, but it seems like a multitude that they come in and then they go. They come in for the message and then they go, which has been really uplifting.
And
Does
that
make
can
sense?
that can be really powerful.
Yeah, like it's always evolving, like it's always changing. Like yesterday was a raven, and it was a raccoon, and then just random, just change, ever changing, and it's just been really nice. The messages behind them, like when we saw a porcupine, it was unreal. It was just like that porcupine message was so deep and accurate. It was like reading a horoscope. It was like so much accuracy,
Hmm.
but different than a horoscope. So that was just wonderful. So we keep up with that as we kind of journey on. The journey, different animals come with different messages. So I kind of stick with that.
Well,
That's
usually
been
we
really
have
nice.
one main power animal, like Beth was saying with her bear, and then when you have
Yeah,
that, then you have these other animals that come, and they're
yeah,
but you have this solid connection. But there are people who have different power animals and different chakras, and so maybe you won't have one. Maybe it will be just this process of having different ones. But
yeah. Just needing to get more comfortable with the work. Maybe I haven't found it because I haven't found that entrance.
yeah, the entrance
You
is
know.
important entryway into it.
That,
Yeah.
if I can interject, that was huge for me figuring out the entrance. I think that's when it started for me journeying toward bear. First, I met raccoon used to be my main power animal, and then a snake appeared, and then an eagle appeared. Now the eagle's gone, and it's always just snake connecting me with bear. But I had to find the right entrance first. That was crucial. I happened to find it on a hike here with my dog.
Yeah, it comes to you like a lot of things. We search and then it comes to us, the right one. And then it's that very personal, subjective connection that you just know it's your entrance, it's your power animal. And it's, more a feeling than anything else. This is very feeling oriented.
Mhm.
Anybody else like to share?
I had a very enriching conversation with Karen, sharing my experience with her. This is my first time to ever journey. And so she shared some experiences from her previous journeys. So for me, I was able to find an entrance. It came to me pretty quickly, and it was Cathedral Rock in Sedona, Arizona.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, because I did a spiritual retreat there back in 2001. It was August, just before 9/11. And I actually saw 9/11 in the journeys that I did there, which was quite
Wow.
surprising. I didn't know what it was until it happened. I was like, oh, that's what I saw.
I got goosebumps. Oh,
Yeah. So Cathedral Rock immediately came to me as my entrance. And then as you were guiding us in, I was going through the entrance. I could get myself into the tunnel. But honestly, I found the rattle very distracting.
okay.
It was sort of grating on some point in my head where I sort of like was getting a headache. So I thought, okay, well, that's my tunnel experience. I've got to work through that sound. Because you
Right.
mentioned the tunnel could be challenging. It could be creepy. It could have worms. It could have whatever. For me, it had that sound that I had to work through. But I never saw an animal. I never connected with an animal. I didn't see any animals. Once I got to the end of the tunnel, I didn't really find anything there because I think kind of it was time to come back out.
Right.
But I was sharing with Karen that the one animal that often comes to me is snake, because I'm terrified of them. Terrified of them, and always have been since a child. So I figure it's got to go back to a past life somewhere. It's the only thing on this planet that terrifies me is a snake. And when I was a kid, it's funny, you mentioned snakes, Beth, because I got a chill when you mentioned it. Just the thought. So, oh God, I hope she doesn't pull one up and hold it. When I was a kid, I have two brothers, and they used to run up on me with the S encyclopedia open to a snake to scare me, because that's how I could see a picture and run and scream. And so then it occurred to me, maybe the snake is my power animal, and it's about being afraid of my own power. So that was a thought that occurred to me in the tunnel.
And I think that's genius, because I hate snakes too. They fucking gross me out. But this snake is like crucial to my connection with bear somehow. And I could go into it. So I think that really resonated with me. Afraid of my own power. Hell's yes.
Yeah, maybe so. And Karen asked me if I ever looked up what a snake means, and I said no, because I'm afraid I'll see a picture of one. I've never looked it up. I was at a street fair. New York City used to have all these street festivals, and I guess they'll come back. But I was standing, they're crowded, and I was standing, I saw this thing move like toward me, and I turned around, and this man was standing right next to me with this ginormous snake wrapped around him like a boa constrictor, like a boa. People do that in New York City. They'll walk around with their snake. And I just almost died right there. I just eased away as quickly as I could. And I've never gone to a street fair again because of that. New Yorkers love to do that. I remember being in Greenwich Village when I was a teenager. That was a cool thing to do, to go to the village and buy your clogs and all that stuff. And I just saw this man walking down the street with a snake. And I was like, okay, no more Greenwich Village. So, I don't know, but it was an interesting idea. And Beth, I'm glad that resonates for you too, because it might be about being afraid of our own power. They're very powerful creatures. So it might be something around that. So that was an interesting insight to me. But I didn't physically see a snake. I didn't see any animals. I was dealing with the rattle.
Yeah, and for some people, the rattle is annoying and a drum is better. So that can also be part of it too, is what is the best way for you to journey, and maybe a rattle isn't the best way for you to journey.
Right. So when we're journeying on our own, we should make a sound. We should be making sounds as we go.
You don't have to do it. And if you don't need to do it, you don't have to do it. But it physiologically gets your brain entrained in the right way to journey. So it's a tool that can be helpful if it's helpful. Some people don't need it. Some people it's annoying. Sometimes, but that sonically driven sound gets our brain in the right rhythm to journey. So that's
And Catherine, I downloaded the drumming that Marina mentioned earlier, and I really liked that. There's like a 15-minute one and a 40-minute one or something, and I forget how much it cost, but it wasn't that much. And I liked, because with the recording, you can control the volume, but also it's very constant. It's almost becomes like a white noise, but as the tempo shifts, it informs you, of kind of where you're at in your journey. And I was thinking for you, maybe another option would be, YouTube has all these recordings like the ocean or rain or, forest stream or whatever. Sometimes I use those to help me get to sleep. And that might be more up your alley, like a water sound.
Yeah, I think the water might be a good idea. Thank you.
And I do find that specific drumming tape is from, and I'll send it in the email how you can access it, because as I said, it's for drummers, and it's, for pre-recorded a lot of times is not as vibrant as a live drumming, but it's for pre-recorded drumming. They have this single drumming thing that's just, in my opinion, awful, like, so that's more resonance and more power in it. So a lot of people have found that particular one is very helpful. So Anybody else or any?
So you can do the drumming yourself, or someone else should be doing the drumming?
Well, it depends on how amazing you are, I suppose. Chew gum, and I don't know what else you could do. I mean,
Done it with my table drum. You know, you can really kind of get into it and journey at the same time.
yeah. Yeah. So it depends on your drum too. And Catherine, you have that drum, so that might be something, you can work with your own drum with it too. But
So I could record it too. I could record myself
yes,
drumming it and play the recording. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and there's something nice about that. If you're drumming it and then you're using it for yourself, that seems
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then as we get more proficient at doing this, we can just be at a meeting and close our eyes and do it and not look too weird or anything and get great information. I've done that a lot. You can access that world, and
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you are. But a lot of it is just getting that first, like I keep saying, but it's like riding a bicycle or something. You just get it. And once you get it, it's like, oh, okay, I know my power animal. I know, and it becomes very easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is to write down the question and then write down the information you get, because sometimes in the moment one doesn't know what it means. And then it becomes apparent. Are there any other things we want to share or talk about? Because we're going to end with some power song stuff. So, we'd mentioned dancing as part of this, art as part of this. A lot of times I'll get a vision of some kind of artistic thing. Sometimes I'll even create something from that. And then a really important aspect of this work is having our power songs, which is something we'll be working on for next time. And there are, most power songs are very simple, repetitive. And my power song, I'll just whistle it for you. This is my power song. So that's my power song. So when I'm journeying and I'm working, sometimes I'll whistle that or I'll sing that, and it brings power to me. It brings energy. Or if I'm depleted and I'm exhausted, I'll do, I just got a big charge out of doing that. And then there are also group power songs, and we usually end with a power song. And one of the power songs that we used to use, we're going to be ending with a different one, but just for fun, we could just sing one that we have used, which is the circle around, which Karen loves to make fun of because it's fun to make fun of it. So we can just sing that together, and then we'll end with a final power song, and then I love you guys. Okay, so we circle around the boundaries of the earth. We circle around,
we circle around
the
boundaries of
the
earth.
wearing our long feathers as we fly, wearing our long feathers as we fly. We circle
around, we circle around, we circle around
of the earth. I'll send this to you too.
Please. I've never heard this one. I like it.
Yeah, and it's a
Circles are powerful.
And then, Aaron, could you put on the slide of the other one? So this is another one.
That
So-
one I know.
So this way we can just end by all singing this together, and it's about living as one, and I'll be sending you a follow-up email with info. We'll communicate. I'd love to help anyone who wants extra help with journeying. I would be my honor and pleasure to do that. We're going to have a pre-recorded thinger that you can also see if that's helpful. So why don't we just moment and breathe and just feel our connections to ourselves and to our divine selves and everyone in the group's divine self. And we'll be meeting again the first Sunday in November. And so we'll just start.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Come along and join us, and the world will live as one. My dog came in for that. He's like, oh, it's singing.
Peace, love. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Happy
Thank
October.
you.
So great
Thank
to
Last
meet
you.
Sunday.
Nice to be with you all.
That's all of you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye-bye.